Hello everyone, today I'm here with Caleb Durward. Did I say it right? Probably not.
Durward.
It's too hard for me to pronounce it.
That's fine.
So you're a famous...
It's a weird name, don't sweat it.
You're a famous MTG streamer. Is that right? You're also a former professional player, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. I used to play cash games for a living, and supplemented that with article writing, like a lot of people do. But for a few years there, most of my income was from like the SCG circuit and the GCG Players circuit and the Midwest Masters series and stuff. And that was pretty scrappy. That was not a great way to make a living.
When you say, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, yeah. These days, I'm streaming and enjoying it and having a good time.
Mm-hmm. When you said cash games, did you just mean SCGs or did you mean like something different as well?
Well, I mean SCG tournaments, but I also mean like if a local store has like a dual lands tournament, I would play in that, do well in that, sell the prize, help pay rent that way, that sort of thing. Just like constant grinding, playing as many tournaments as possible, doing money drafts at tournaments, getting extra money that way, just like anywhere that I could play Magic and potentially make something. I had my hand in it.
Yeah, I was just wondering if you said cash games, that sounds like a little bit, like a poker. If you had like, you should just gathered with like 8 people and you just play for a lot of money. So that wasn't the case.
Yeah, well, the reason I call them cash tournaments is because like a lot of pro players would grind Grand Prix and get pro points, but the Grand Prix themselves wouldn't actually pay very much for your time. So the way to convert them is you would need to grind in a lot of those, get the pro points, get the pro level, and potentially make a living that way. And I thought that was a lot harder to convert instead of playing in a tournament where the prize is mostly in monetary form, right? Like if you top 8 in SCG, they would send you a check, and the check would be a little bit more bang for your buck. Anyway.
Yeah, I wanted to go into Magic immediate. As my next question, my first question was actually going to be about art. You have a lot of art even behind you. When I asked you about hobbies on Twitter, you told me that you collect art. Not only Magic, I assume you collect other art as well, right?
Yeah, I've got a few D&D pieces. I've got a few from fantasy artists that I like that aren't related with gaming at all. They've just done like pieces for like various fantasy books that I like and enjoy, that sort of thing. I started collecting art from Magic though, going to artist booths at events, buying up the occasional print, talking to the artists and getting into it. And then I started like branching out into other areas that I enjoy as well. Mm-hmm. So yeah, Magic enriching my life in more way than one, huh?
you even told me on Twitter that your collection of art is probably worth more than your collection of Magic cards. Oh
yeah.
Is that because your collection of Magic cards isn't that huge, or the art is actually very expensive? Which one is?
It's kind of both.
I see.
Most pieces of art that I have that are worth anything, not all, but most of them are Magic based, and the Magic based art community is like kind of exploded because it's attached to the collectible card game. I've got another couple of pieces that are worth something. One from like the old Lord of the Rings card game, so it's like an official like Lord of the Rings piece, a couple Star Wars pieces, that sort of thing. But part of it is also that I don't actually own that many Magic cards. When I was playing Magic for a living, I had the good fortune to always have roommates that just like owned all of Magic. So whatever they were going to play in a tournament, I wouldn't be able to play that deck, but I could play like anything else. And so I would find whatever other deck that I liked that wasn't that, and bring that for the events and stuff. So I never had to really maintain a collection that way, and that's part of why I was able to make it work. Like it wouldn't have been possible if I had to buy a deck every time the format shifted and stuff.
That makes sense. How did you actually get into buying so much art? Was it maybe because you like the MTG lore, or was it something different?
Well, I mean, I've always enjoyed art. I like going to museums and and going through, and I've taken like a few art appreciation classes and stuff. And it's just cool to watch artists work. And then when you have the original piece, it's a little bit different than owning a print because you can see the texture. You can see the texture of the paint or whatever medium they're using and stuff. And so you get to like appreciate it in like a slightly different way. I really enjoy that. I really enjoy experiencing things in a slightly different way. I recently got into vinyl, and it's kind of a similar thing.
What is it?
Vinyl are just like those old school records, those big circular
No idea.
things that you put on and it spins on the table and you listen to the music that way. And it's not better. It's not better than listening to a CD or listening to it online, but it's different. Like they master the music differently, so it's like experiencing the sound in a completely different way. And I like that. I like variety, I guess.
Mm-hmm. So it wasn't about the lore. You don't actually know the lore that much.
I don't know the lore much at all. No.
I see. Because I just wanted to meet someone who knows a lot about the lore so that I can ask about it. But
you came to the wrong place.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I thought it was you, but you oh, damn.
I read a couple of the books way back when. Most of them didn't really grip me. Have you read any of the Magic the Gathering books? The ones that used to come with the fat packs?
I tried to read one and I didn't like it and I stopped. So
that about fits my experience. Yeah.
The ones that you read were bad.
Yeah, they weren't great.
Oh, I see. So let's go into your Magic story. You also told me on Twitter that you grew up in like a small village or like small town, and the nearest FNM was actually 2 hours away. Seems kind of crazy that someone who was making a living with like grinding tournaments and now is streaming so much, came from a place where you can't actually play. How did that work out?
Well, there were still people playing there. And there was still a couple of people that cared about competitive Magic, and they dipped my toes in it, and they got me interested in that way. And then I started following tournaments online, and we would proxy decks and build decks and stuff. And then every once in a while, we would all pile into a car and travel to a tournament. Drive to FNM 2 hours away and play Legacy FNM. Or
did you actually do that? Did you actually do that?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. No, we would do that. We would every like couple of months or so, we would pile into a van and drive 2 hours to go play Legacy FNM and get to like have it like a taste of competitive Magic. Near the end of my high school, we had a near the end of my time in high school, we had a shop open up, and they started having FNM there and stuff. So when I was going to college, I ended up going to college in a nearby town. We actually had a store for that and stuff. But for most of my childhood, yeah, there was nothing nearby at all. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, I had such a like I knew from playing online and stuff, like I had like an idea that I was like kind of good, and I was and a lot of people that grow up in small communities, they know that they're like better than the people in their community, but they don't really get a chance to test themselves in larger tournaments against people that have had those experiences. And so like every once in a while I would, find a way to go play in a Grand Prix, find a way to play in a JSS or something, take a Greyhound. I once, when I was 15, I convinced my parents to let me take a Greyhound to play in a Grand Prix in the Twin Cities by myself and without plans for lodging or anything like that. I just like asked people if I could sleep on their floor until I got a yes. And so that was kind of crazy.
Mm-hmm. The first time I actually, kind of recognized you was exactly when they changed the system of GPs. Only top 4 qualified you, and you top 8 2 GPs in a row, and then you got like a special invite. I think is that right?
Me and Pascal Maynard both managed that. We both top-8'd multiple Grand Prix and both managed to not get an invite because we lost in the quarterfinals. And people were like upset because it used to be that a top 16 at a Grand Prix would qualify you for the Pro Tour, and now a top 8 wasn't even doing it. And so there was like a little bit of pushback. Well, that's kind of messed up. And so Wizards started doing sponsored invites. And I ended up getting 2 of those. Some of my friends teased me. Some of my friends teased me because they were calling it the Caleb D Memorial invite. Because I ended up getting a couple. There was the second time I just lost in like the top 8 of a lot of PTQs. I lost in like 1 finals and a few other PTQ top 8s, and then I had a couple other GP deep runs. Like there was like a GP top 16 in there, I think. Anyway, but yeah, I got that one twice. The PTQ in that season that I lost in the finals of was actually wild because I had a friend who convinced me to port over, I should say. It wasn't like an original build, but it was a port of the Jeskai twin deck that I had played in extended some seasons.
Oh, was it the one with like Stoneforge Mystic and also twin as well, or? No,
that deck wasn't. I don't know if that was ever played in extended. This was like Jace the Mind Sculptor, Cryptic Command, Wall of Omens, Path to Exile stuff.
Oh, okay.
And I was on a road trip with Joe Bernal, and he was like, Wall of Omens is pretty good in this modern metagame right now. Like, people are playing Wild Nacatls and stuff. Like, I bet that old Jeskai Twin deck is actually good. And so we spent a week developing, like, we both went our separate ways and started testing and stuff, and then we came together at the end of the week and, like, solidified our lists. And we played in a PTQ here in Madison, which is where I live now, and I lost to him in the finals. Like, we were the only two people in the room playing the deck. I lost to him in the finals, so he qualified, and then I got the sponsors invite from that finals finish. Like, that was the last finish that I needed to get the sponsors invite. So we actually both qualified from the same PTQ, playing the same deck that we'd like spent the week working on together. And so that was really rewarding. Mm-hmm. And then that deck actually put up some other like serious finishes after that. Someone top 8'd a Grand Prix with it, and I think there might have been a higher Pro Tour finish. Anyway,
was there ever a point where you were actual professional player? Because as you said, that wasn't like something that you necessarily aspired for, but it might have happened anyways. Would you say that's true, or how would you describe that?
It depends on how you define professional players. A lot of people like consider people that hit like. I think
that if you play all the Pro Tours during the 1 year, then you were a pro for that 1 year. That's how I would describe it.
Right, and so you're getting like a different definition from lots of other people. Like, some people would say if you ever hit gold or plat, that qualifies. Some people would say if you play all of the Pro Tours, that qualifies. I never did any of those. I've only played in like 6 Pro Tours total, and I never chained them together in a season. Like, if I ever qualified for a Pro Tour, it was because I like happened to play in a PTQ on some weekend in between SCG appearances or something. If my rating ever got high enough that I could sit on it and qualify for a Pro Tour, I wouldn't be able to, because I had to make rent. I had to play more tournaments that actually paid me money.
That's crazy.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, playing Magic for a living kept me off of at least one Pro Tour.
That's Were you upset about it, but you just like there was no way around it, or you just like didn't really care?
No, I wasn't upset about it. I was like surviving, and I was playing a lot of Magic and having a lot of fun and getting to do what I love. So no, there wasn't anything. That's not like you. It's like in real life things, just like in Magic. Like, you shouldn't be upset about the stuff that you can't control. You should like make the best decisions that you can for yourself, and then if you consistently make good decisions, your life will eventually improve as well. Mm-hmm. Ideally, like maybe sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you get mana screwed, but
I guess that makes sense. So now you're a full-time streamer, I think. How long are you actually doing that?
I think a little over 5 years. I've been full-time Magic streaming now, and that's been a lot better. That's been great.
Why did you decide to make that jump? At some point you just realized that it's better, or like what happened there?
Well, I was burning out of playing competitive Magic for a living, because it was like pretty stressful, and there wasn't a lot of downtime because there's so much time spent traveling to tournaments and testing and stuff. So I was burning out on that anyway, and I was like trying to find other ways to supplement my income. And I had a fan donate some cards that I could use on Moto, and I had a friend lend me some cards like right around the same time. And I was like, so that was the first time that I actually had cards or access to them on Magic Online. So that the first time I had a chance to try it, and I was like, I guess I'll try this thing and like maybe make a few bucks on the side. I never like went into it as a way to make a living. I started out as like, okay, this is a way that if someone wants to come and ask me a question, they can come do it in real time, and I can respond to them in real time, and I won't have like, tens of emails and messages to answer people at the end of the day. I'll be more accessible to folks, while also like potentially making a couple bucks. And then it wasn't for another year or so after that, with just me streaming like a couple times a week, that I thought, okay, if I can like find the time to commit like full time and like take that leap, if I can like have enough of a bankroll where I won't like starve, if I don't like make enough to live for the first couple of months, then I can do that. And then I hit that sweet spot where I was like, okay, I've got exactly enough money to like live for a few months. I'm gonna try and make a real go of this. And that was when I did my 365, which is something that Numot actually did. in the Magic community.
I think right now there are multiple people who did it. I think Dead Sea did it as well. I think it's kind of a thing, because if you do that, you just get a lot of people. So
yeah, there have been some people that have done it that haven't seen like a huge explosion, and there could be like other reasons for that, like the time of day that they're streaming. Who knows? But yeah, I was pretty fortunate when I started streaming, because people knew me from the SCG circuit, and people knew me from my articles and videos for Channel Fireball. So I didn't start with 0 viewers, right? Like you kind of have to pull people in from outside of Twitch.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because if you start with 0, like you're just like.
How many people were you getting like the first year? Do you remember?
My first few streams, I was getting like in the 30 to 40 range, which is like very like not enough. Obviously, not enough to live off of, but as in terms of like a starting out spot, that's amazing. It'd be like if you were playing in a band and you have like 40 people showing up to your first gig, as opposed to 0 people showing up to your first gig, right? Like you're not going to make it as a band if nobody's there. But after the first year, I think I was getting more like 200 some. Yeah. 200, 400, that range.
But you're very successful at doing it right now. Did something change as you were doing it, or was it just like very gradual and like eventually you got there?
Well, I mean, when you work at something, you improve at it, and there's definitely a skill set involved with streaming, handling different sized chats, the technology aspect behind it, just getting used to having a pattern, like a steady stream of commentary while you're playing. Explaining your thought process and stuff, and doing videos had helped me a little bit for that, but not a whole lot. It is kind of like a completely different skill set when you're doing live interaction with a chat and still playing a game like Magic.
So it wasn't just the time, but you also think that because you got better, you just get a lot more people.
Yeah, that's part of it for sure.
I see. So do you think that if you were as good as you are now with like everything, you would get a lot more viewers like from the beginning? Is that
you think if I traveled back in time?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
When I did before, would I get viewers faster?
Yeah, I'm just curious, because maybe you can give some advice for people who maybe are thinking about streaming. So,
well, my main advice. So like everyone that does make it as a streamer has like a slightly different path. Like we're all individuals coming from different walks of life with different strengths and weaknesses, that sort of thing. So you should figure out like what kind of stream you want to run, like what kind of streams you enjoy, try and incorporate those elements into your stream, try and get good at the things that you like to see in other streamers. And most importantly, don't start from 0 viewers. Like, even if you only have your friends coming in to watch you, that's better than 0. You should really be. I mean, I've seen other people who are content creators have that big leg up that I did, where you're starting with like 40 or 50 or 60 or even more, because they were known from other mediums as well too. So like if you just enjoy content creation, then that's going to give you a big leg up in terms of streaming.
I see.
I wouldn't start streaming because you like enjoy playing a game and you see this as your best way to like play the game for a living. I would start streaming because you have some kind of an idea that you enjoy content creation, but it doesn't really necessarily matter what kind of content, and you enjoy interacting with people.
I see. Have you thought of doing some content outside of streaming, maybe with like real cards or anything like that? I just think there is like a shortage of content creation in Magic that's like outside of just playing on a screen basically.
Oh, okay. So you're saying like top-down video with real
like for
cards.
example in Japan, most people who only speak English don't really know those videos, but in Japan that's how they do content mostly, that they just like 2 people sit down and they just play like a finals of a Pro Tour match like three years ago or something like that. Did that ever cross your mind?
I've thought about it. I know Hoogland has done some stuff like that. I don't know if he still does it, but he used to do some live video, and I know Star City has done some. I think their Verse series is done with paper and stuff. It's a lot of work. You need to coordinate things with an additional person, right? Obviously, you can't just play yourself. If you're doing it in paper. Which then means that like now you're paying them something for their time, so your stream or whatever the content form, if it's YouTube videos or whatever, you almost have to be like doubly as successful in order to make it worth everybody's while. So there's some real hurdles. I can see some strengths of it, right? Mm-hmm. Like then now people can see the interaction with you and your opponent, the body language, that sort of thing.
Yeah,
but for me, that's not worth it.
Yeah, I understand. I just think it's like a different experience, especially now that we don't have any real life tournaments. Some people just prefer to watch the real life matches more, so maybe it would be successful. I don't know. I was just curious. So
sure.
Yeah, I think I've asked everything I wanted to ask. Maybe before we wrap it up, you want to tell people where they can find you on the internet, if you want.
Twitch.tv/CalebDMTG. And then I think that's my Twitter handle as well. My YouTube is also CalebDMTG. I've been putting up content there, not exactly daily, but most days.
Is it just cut from your stream, or is it something different?
Most of it's just cut from the stream. Yeah, every once in a while I'll do a YouTube only video, but yeah. Some people prefer to watch on YouTube.
Okay, if you guys like the video, please click on the like and subscribe button. Thanks, Caleb, for your time, and bye bye.